Domingo. Today on our show we're going to be revisiting our series, Toilet Training. Now we brought to you Toilet Training 101, where we showed you how to rebuild an entire toilet and all the valves using a flapper valve still. Well, with the advancements in toilet mechanisms inside, we're going to bring you this one where we're going to show you how to put in a dual flush system. It's a flapperless fill valve. It's all in one, and it actually has dual flush on it. So you can do a half flush if you're going number one, you can do a half flush if you're going number two, you can do a full flush. So the nice thing about this is it's really great on saving water. Let's go and get started on putting this in. The first thing we're going to want to do is turn off the water supply to the toilet before we get started. Okay, now that you have the water shut off, you're going to want to raise the flapper to drain the water out of the tank. You can either do that by just lifting up on the flapper, or you can push down the handle and use the arm. It's going to raise up the flapper, and that's going to drain most of the water out. You can also remove the flapper that usually just clips in on the side. Just want to pull that up, take that off, let the water drain out, and then disconnect the flapper from the arm. Now you're going to want to, after you've gotten that off and the water drained out, you're going to want to disconnect the water line here that goes up into the tank. So you want to turn that counterclockwise. Remember, when you pull that off, you're going to have some water that's going to drain out. So put a little bucket or a piece of Tupperware underneath, because you'll be having water come out here. Now that we have the flapper off and we've drained out most of the water out of the tank, we're going to want to take off the fill valve. So underneath the tank on the left-hand side, typically, you're going to want to remove that, and it's usually a plastic nut that's holding that on. A lot of times it's on there a little tight, so you might want to use a pair of pliers, loosen it up, and then you'll be able to just take that off by hand. Now remember, there's going to be a little bit of water in the tank, so as soon as you start taking this piece off, you're going to have more water flowing out of the tank right here, and that'll be the last little bit of water in the tank. So once you get that removed, the nut removed, this should just be able to pull right out. You're going to have a rubber seal in there. You can see you pull that right out. Now you have that removed, you have the rest of the water be drained down here, so make sure you have a bucket underneath to catch that water. Okay, now we're going to want to remove the old handle off of there. We're going to be taking off this nut here. Remember that on the handles, the nut is actually reverse threaded, so it's not going to be the normal clockwise to tighten it. Actually, if you go clockwise with it, you're actually going to loosen this. So basically, we're going to want to spin that clockwise. We're going to loosen it up. Once that nut comes off, slide that off the handle, and then the handle's going to pop through here, and then come right out. Okay, now that we've got the toilet disassembled to this point, we've still got where the old flapper valve, the hookup assembly for that, but now we're going to be putting in the new dual flush system and a new fill valve. So let's get started on that. Before we do, the first thing we're going to want to do though is disconnect this part. Basically it's twisted off till the tabs hit and it's going to come apart. We're going to be assembling this, putting this in first, and then the new fill valve, and then we'll be reattaching this and the handle. Let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to be putting this in place of where the flapper was before. It's really easy to assemble. Basically it's just going to slide right down here and fit right in where the flapper used to go. And there's a cam lock on it, which is this piece here. You're going to slide that down into place. We're going to pull this zip tie real tight that's through here. Now that we have that zip tie on tight, there's a little rubber washer that we're also going to slide over the top of this. And then slide it down into place. And then that's going to help hold that secure in place, and that's not going to move. Now that we have that in place, we can attach the new valve to that. Basically that will just go into place like this and spin tight. Now that we have this assembly all in, we're going to be putting in the new fill valve. It's really simple. We're going to put the new fill valve exactly in the same hole that the old one went in. You don't want to tighten the nut on the bottom. And remember, this is just a nylon nut. You want to get it tight, but not overly tight. Now that we have the new fill valve in place and the drain mechanism in place, we're going to show you we'll put the new handle in, and then all we have to do is connect the flushing mechanism to the handle. Real simple. This brand new dual flush handle is going to fit right in to where the old handle went, just like that. And then you're going to put the nylon washer on. Remember that this is reverse threaded. So you're going to be going the opposite. Normally it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Well, we're going to go lefty-tighty on this. So we're going to put that on. You're going to get it good and tight. You want to tighten it up just a little bit more with your pliers, about a half a turn. And then that's set. Okay, now we'll be hooking up the flushing mechanism to the handle. You can see it's going to slide right into that. On the top of it, you just need to push this down with your finger, and that's going to release it so that then it'll slide right on. So you push down on your finger, get into place, push down your finger, slide that into place. Now it's locked into place like that. It's that simple. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to do is attach the bowl fill. And basically this just clips on right to the side like that. And then this end is going to hook up to the fill valve. Okay, now that everything's hooked up in the tank, the last thing we need to do is reconnect the water line. I've told you before, it's always a good idea when you're doing work on your toilet to put in a new water line. Typically they say to replace them every 5 to 6 years or so. Get that water line put on. You want to tighten it tight but not overly tight. Now that that's on, we can turn back on the water to the tank. Congratulations on just updating your old toilet with the newest toilet tank technology and a dual flush system. It's going to give you many years of happy, worry-free flushing. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on Everything Home.